Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the virtual Citrix Ready Partner Pavilion. I'm doubly excited this year. At HIMSS, we are putting up this show in two formats. So if you are seeing us in person at the HIMSS Trade Show in Orlando, we are available at booth 5043. If you're not able to make it, we're putting together this fantastic virtual event for you. And just to give you a bit of context around how this event is placed, so in this session, we'll talk about the latest and greatest Citrix has been doing in the healthcare IT space. And then if you scroll down, you'll find sessions with some of our key partner ecosystem. But before that, let me bring on our guest for the day, Christian Boucher. Christian, first of all, great to be sharing the same office with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to share the same office with you as well.
Christian, you want to tell our audience quickly who you are and what you do at Citrix?
Excellent. Thank you. Christian Boucher, Chief Healthcare Strategist and Evangelist for Citrix. I've been with Citrix for a little over 6 years now, where I engage in all things healthcare, whether it's engaging with our partner ecosystem and our ISV partners, or engaging with customers to understand truly what is driving decisions within healthcare IT to help deliver better experiences to the clinical staff.
Awesome. Thank you so much and welcome to the show. Now, my audience is pretty peaked understanding what's happening in 2022. What direction is Citrix headed into? Can you give us an overview?
Absolutely. So, as many of you know, Citrix has been around the healthcare IT ecosystem for decades. We help you deliver applications. We help your security teams enable consumer-friendly security policies and practices, as well as tie together a lot of the complexities around delivering that full continuum of care and healthcare across the application ecosystem. So our focus has always been in trying to engage with our partners, especially the big ones. We'll leave the names out, but the big core EHRs that drive the business of taking care of patients. So our focus has always been to not only enable them to do the things they do well, but also to help them secure those solutions and extend those experiences well beyond the four walls of hospitals, whether it's extending them to clinics or we see this large push in work from home scenarios taking hold of healthcare like it has the rest of the industries. So I think overall our goal is to simplify the way users interact with technologies, not limit them to a specific cubicle or a specific workroom, but allow your organization to pivot and be agile as the needs determine you need to move to a different access methodology for given workflows.
Awesome. So you mentioned quite a few key points there. You mentioned remote work. You mentioned security. You mentioned delivering applications and desktops specifically for healthcare organization. Can you delve a little bit deeper into what are those exact use cases a healthcare organization may use Citrix in?
Well, we all know the big one. It's delivering those core EHRs and other clinical applications out to clinical floors, and that is extended now to various whether it's clinics, whether it's ambulatory centers, whether it's adding value by taking those same solutions and extending them out to remote doctors for telemedicine or access to your financial systems for your back office staff during these challenging times. But we're also really focused on doing that securely, and security plays a huge role in everything that healthcare does, but it becomes more difficult. For the last decade, we have been building security practices around the old moat and castle type of philosophy, where everything within my organization is protected because of my firewalls and application policies. But now we've got to look at various ways that security has changed in the landscape, and our goal is not only to deliver that security, but do it seamlessly, so it's not impacting user experience. It's not adding additional hurdles to your clinicians as they're starting to traverse various access methodologies, whether it's in person or remote, as well as how do we leverage our partner ecosystem to help bridge some of those gaps, whether it's allowing organizations to take on a more thin client-friendly environment, or extending access to other applications within the portfolios, and getting insights into how those applications are being leveraged, and all those pieces of the puzzle really show the value of Citrix, because we're able to tie all those pieces together and give you not only a granular insight of how those things are happening and deliver to any device you decide is the most appropriate for workflows, but also making that experience as simple and seamless as possible, regardless if in the morning a doctor is interacting with technology on a personal laptop from home, then as he goes into the office he's interacting with a shared workstation, and then finally maybe he's now on the floor using a thin client for certain workflows. Being able to tie that all together into the same experience across all those different access methodologies really shows the value in how Citrix can deliver much more seamless experiences for your users.
Awesome, that's great. So here's another thought I had. Last couple of years have been really topsy-turvy, obviously for all the industries, but more so for healthcare, right? And I am personally seeing quite a lot of changes in terms of how healthcare organizations operate. Do you have any insights or trends that you're seeing in your conversations with some of the customers?
Absolutely. We all knew that the pandemic early on was going to change the face of healthcare for some time. But I think, in retrospect, organizations are looking back at, some of the decisions they made, some of the technologies they leveraged, and some of the, operational efficiencies that can be gained by, leveraging more of a work from home scenario. So we're seeing that big push. And, I think for, a long time, work from home was against the overall culture of healthcare. Usually it was, hey, doctors and nurses are in the buildings, everyone has to be in. Not saying that there wasn't some remote work being done, but it was very targeted and it was, very use case specific. Organizations are seeing a big push, not only for cost saving measures, or maybe, they're looking at real estate cost and, trying to find ways to, get back into the green as far as budget goes, because real estate is expensive, and especially if you don't own that, or even if you do, sometimes those spaces that were segmented out for non-clinical use can be leveraged for more clinical use. So that's where they're seeing some efficiency. So how do organizations look at not only being able to adapt and leverage their resources in a more efficient way for the trends we're seeing in healthcare, but also, healthcare organizations are struggling for talent just as anybody else is. And with so many organizations across the globe, not just in healthcare, but, in other industries, adopting, work from home policies for their staff, it starts to widen that talent pool for organizations. And in what we're seeing, just from an industry standard, is that in order to stay competitive and attract the correct talent that they need to manage these very complex environments, they have to keep up with other industries and try to offer these same solutions, these same work policies that everyone else is doing. So I think that's a very big trend. But also I think as we look across the spectrum of healthcare in the U.S. particularly, I think we are really looking at a massive shift in how technology is looked at within the organization. It's been for a long time, I would say technology has been considered like a utility, like water and electric. It's there, it works the way it's supposed to, and they just expect certain things. But the consumerization of IT has made health systems look at technology but different. Physicians are looking at simplistic access methodologies. They look at their iPhone and they say, I can download this app in 30 seconds and I can start using it in 60 seconds. Why can't IT and healthcare be that simple? So as we look across the ecosystem, user-friendly, consumer-centric experiences are what's being demanded from the clients, from the physicians and the nurses. So I think we as an industry are looking at ways to simplify that and to make that something that is more more consumer-like experiences across the board. And that doesn't even get into the patients and patient portals and what their expectations are, because they have the same expectations as the doctors and nurses do. That technology has come to a point in our culture where it has to be simple if you want to use it. If not, they'll move on to something else, and something that is easier. So I think we help there. I think we can make those experiences for physicians and clinicians a lot more simple, especially across all those various access methodologies we talked about. But in doing that, I think we allow organizations to improve patient care by taking time back that was used to interact with technology by the nurses and doctors, and giving it back to them so they can spend additional time with their patients. Even if it's 2 or 3 minutes per interaction, that's a huge benefit for patient care, because we've all been there interacting with doctors, and they're sitting behind a screen typing and trying to log in and all this other stuff while they should be interacting with us. So if we can somehow improve that interaction, if we can somehow, again, lower those hurdles between the doctor and the patient when it comes to technology interaction, I think that's how Citrix can impact healthcare in a very positive way.
It's very interesting that you bring up this point, and this reminds me of a small anecdote that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. So it was 6 a.m. in the morning, and I wanted to consult a doctor. I was wondering, it wasn't an emergency. I didn't really want to rush to the hospital. So I opened up an app of one of the big hospital chains here, and I realized they had an option of remote consultation. Earlier times, pre-pandemic, I would have used remote consultation once or twice. It would take me days to book an appointment, and I realized the doctor was available in the next 10 minutes. I clicked on a button. 10 minutes later, I receive a video call. I do the consult. Turns out I don't have to visit the emergency. He prescribes me a medicine, and blah, done. So what I've seen is there's been a tremendous change in terms of how, what you've mentioned, the interaction between doctor and patient. And I'm totally with you on that how technology can really enable that.
Agreed. And we're seeing, that become a business model for many, health systems as telemedicine has become, more popular for various reasons. But also, I think it's operationally efficient for health systems to be able to engage with their patients in that manner, where I may be able to offset 20% of these emergency room visits, which then allows that emergency room to work a lot more efficiently, not being overwhelmed. So how can we look at technology to solve simple problems like that, as diverting 10 to 15% of those urgent care or emergent care patients to something, another option that may better suit their needs, as well as allow organizations to be more efficient in those important areas of the hospital, such as urgent and emergent care.
Awesome, that's great. Thanks so much for that insight, Christian. Okay, now we thought this was supposed to be the future, but this has come quite early because of the pandemic. So where are you seeing healthcare IT heading now? What do you think is the future now?
We see a lot of trends, and healthcare, I would say, is very reactive. They have always been. They've got these huge monolithic systems that require a lot of care and maintenance and are not as nimble as, some other applications. But more and more, we're seeing organizations look at, SaaS-based applications, web-based solutions, in order to drive efficiencies in operations, whether it's, I've heard the term, I need to get out of the data center more times in the last year and a half than I have in my previous 5.5 years at Citrix. So there was a big drive to find those efficiencies on the operations side. So we're seeing that's a big trend. And Citrix can definitely help you there as well by bringing that experience into the same experience as all your other applications. So if you decide to move to SaaS, how are you securing that? How are you delivering that same user experience and the expectations that they have for those applications that now may fall outside of your control of your organization. But I think the bigger one really is that push to drive improved experiences for healthcare. There's these, again, we have these big monolithic systems. A lot of them are disparate, whether you have a core EHR program and then you have a PAC solution, then you have maybe various other clinical applications, pharmacy systems. Now sometimes they may all be, or parts of them may be from the same vendor, but oftentimes one vendor cannot solve all these problems. So trying to find ways to simplify that interaction, simplify the logon process, simplify the security. How difficult is it for a doctor who has 5 different passwords for 5 different systems that may be reset at different times? How can they look at various technology solutions to bring those all into one password for organizations? So that single sign-on, being able to still deliver those security practices that are required by healthcare, but do it in a simplified manner, so we're not putting undue stress from the technology aspect on our physicians. They already have enough to deal with. Us, complicating the way they interact with technology shouldn't be on the plate. There are solutions out there, and we can help you make it better. So I think that's where we're trying to see. That's where we're seeing a lot of organizations trying to, again, simplify that pane of glass that physicians and clinicians are interacting with, and that goes from user experience, being able to coordinate all the applications and data repositories, and again, layering that security on in something that really, when it comes down to, is invisible to the end user. It just happens. It's not one extra step or 2 extra steps to do that. Simplifying user experience at the same time, trying to make it a little bit more secure at the same time.
Gotcha. And I hope we don't need another pandemic for us to reach to the next level of these innovations. All right, that's great. Christian, you alluded to partner technologies in one of your suggestions. I want to understand, how important do you think an ecosystem is for healthcare IT? And when I say ecosystem, these different companies provide smaller parts that sort of fit in the puzzle. How important do you think that ecosystem is?
For Citrix in the technology aspect, I think it's very important. We do some things very well, and we are specialists in a few areas of what healthcare needs to deliver as part of their technology ecosystem. Now, for us to try and do the 100 things that are required to make that user experience simple or that architecture secure, it would be very difficult. So I know how much importance we place on building the right relationships across the partner ecosystem, whether it's endpoint devices, whether it's security, whether it's monitoring. For us to be able to leverage those technologies makes our job significantly easier. Just as in there are various applications within a healthcare ecosystem, whether it's a core EHR, again, cardiology PAC systems, whatever it may be. You can't be the best in everything that you do, and finding the people that do those things the best really makes your product and your solution that much better by allowing you to focus on the things that you do well and that your solution can solve the problems of for organizations.
Awesome. Thanks so much again, Christian, for those insights. Any last words before we wrap this up?
I just want to thank our customers for the years and years of trust they put in Citrix, and hopefully we continue to build products that make you I say comfortable with the decisions that you've made to invest in our products. Our goal across all industries, but for me, healthcare being the specific one, is to make sure that our solutions match the needs of your organization and are able to deliver the things that you need to deliver when you need to deliver them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christian. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talking to our audience today. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure hosting this show. And stay tuned. There are a lot of sessions coming up where we're talking about innovations, not only Citrix has done, but also our partner ecosystem and what we've been able to achieve together. So stay tuned for the next session. Signing off for now, but see you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Thank you.